Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we have another shop talk video. Now I made a few videos discussing why new modern cars are junk and how engineering sucks and this and that, but we really haven't gotten to the root of the standard, which is basically the government mandates, things like CAFE standards that implement certain things in automotive, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now before we go ahead and begin, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below. Definitely smash the like button because it helps the channel out. With that said, let's go ahead and get started on today's video. So I previously made a shop talk video talking about how new cars are crap and kind of went through the failures and the things that are going on in automotive. And I got a lot of comments saying that I left out government mandates and CAFE standards and things like that that manufacturers have to go through. Now I left them out for a reason. It's because I feel that I needed to make the second video to go over all that, otherwise that video was going to be really long. Now I'll give you the long, short, and skinny here. I don't want to get too involved in this and talk about government mandates because it gets political at that stage, and I try to avoid politics on this channel. I don't get into it. But either way, the reason why I made that video bashing manufacturers is because I truly do believe that manufacturers have an issue on their hands that they can easily resolve. They're not, I guess you can call it, hopeless. A lot of the commenters said that it wasn't the manufacturers, it was government mandates and CAFE standards. Let's talk about that. So what is CAFE? CAFE stands for Corporate Average Fuel Economy. It's basically something that came out in 1975 that stipulates, hey, the cars have to get more efficient, more cleaner, and achieve certain miles per gallon. And manufacturers have known since 1975. They've even been given the provisions like, hey, we want miles per gallon to go up, let's say 2 miles per gallon this year, and this year this much, and that year. So they got time to fix things and figure out technology. Now, with that said, am I going to say that the mandates like CAFE Act are really that great? No, I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm the type of person that honestly will say government should kind of stay out of things like this because everything that gets political or government has some sort of input on it, it's usually going backwards. Like they usually go backwards. It's just saying. So to me, by having these government mandates and programs like CAFE that say your car, and we're going to be hypothetical, let's just say there's a mandate that says 50 miles per gallon by 2030. Even if though manufacturers have gotten that memo about 10 years prior that by 2030 you have to be 50 miles per gallon or better to be able to pass or be able to sell cars, they've had plenty of time to work out the kinks in that system. So meaning, if let's say I'm one of the big three and the government says, hey, in 10 years from now we want you to achieve 50 miles per gallon average fuel economy. Now me as a manufacturer of these vehicles, I should do my R&D, try to figure stuff out. And it boils down to one or two things. Either, yes, I can do it, and I can do it reliably without sacrificing my customers' wallets and making the consumers go broke over this tech. Or two, hey, this is unachievable. Let's get to the table. Maybe this 50 number is out of the question. Can we get a little bit something that's more in between and figure stuff out? Because as technology progresses, we're not quite there yet, and maybe another 5 years we'll be at that level. And the third one would be just flat out the manufacturer saying, hey, this is unachievable, this technology is stretched, this is as far as we can take it, we can't do this. They don't really take that ladder. So what I'll say is this: yes, government mandates are killing newer vehicles because of what the requirements are. I completely agree with you guys on that, and that's why I want to make this separate video to talk about this. So that right there, government mandates, CAFE, emission standards, they kill automotive and they kill automotive manufacturing. That's 100% there, and we'll leave that at that. But I expect the manufacturers that get dealt these orders to follow that list that we just mentioned where, yeah, we can do it reliably. No, we can't do it quite to that number yet, but we can meet you, like, let's say in the middle somewhere. Instead of 50, we'll meet you at 40, and then hash it out, okay, that'll work. Or three, say, hey, we just can't do this. But they're not doing any of that. You know what they're doing? Any of these manufacturers now, they're just saying, we're going to take this technology that's unproven because we got to hit this deadline or this goal. We're going to throw it in our vehicle and then produce it probably do no R&D on it, because stuff like this takes years and years to figure out how it's going to affect or how it's going to work. But what they do is they make it, they put it in a package, they sell it to you, the consumer, and you're finding out all the kinks and all the issues with it. Now, one thing I'll say to this is the biggest prime example, GM, AFM, DFM. AFM came out in 2006, I think, 2007. It's been around for a long time. GM knows that they fail. These systems fail. They're prone to failure. The engines suffer. Yet they haven't done anything about it since it was AFM. They doubled down and said, hey, instead of AFM, now we're going to make DFM. So we went from controlling a certain number of cylinders with AFM, which I think it was 4 cylinders they could control, to now DFM, where it's like we can control all of these and make so many configurations. They could probably run your V8 on 2 cylinders if they wanted to with the newer technology. But the thing is it reliable? It's not. That's the thing. They know that it's horrible. They know that it hurts consumers' wallets and it hurts vehicles, and vehicles are basically not reliable, and sometimes even pretty much just total losses when it comes down to these failures. They don't care about that. They're not voicing their choice. They're just choosing to comply. The best way to explain this is, like, imagine you're in the military and your higher ranking officer says, do 20 backflips. Now, technically, he's your superior. You're supposed to listen to him, but if your body can't physically do 20 backflips, what are you going to do? Kill yourself trying to do 20 backflips? No. You're going to say, hey, I can't. I'll meet you in the middle. I can do 5 or 10 or whatever it is that you could do. Or just flat out say, nope, it's impossible. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. Yes, there's going to be consequences if you disobey, but you shouldn't try to hurt yourself in the process to just please your superior. And that's what we have here with these companies. Government set a standard, and these car companies are voiceless. And instead of saying, hey, let's work on this, let's talk about this, let's meet up, get in the table, let's have a drink together and figure it out, let's talk about it. What are they doing? They're just saying, we're going to comply. They're complying. And the way they're complying is by taking this technology that is not proven and sometimes not even tested, throwing it in the car and passing it on to the consumer. And where does this leave us? Well, crappy manufacturing, 10-speed transmissions 10-speed transmissions should not be a thing, period. I don't think you need more than like a 7-speed, and even that's too many speeds. It leads you down to these fuel economy, auto start stop features, to cylinder deactivation. Just problems over problems, guys. That's what we get. Think about it. Most modern cars have some sort of cylinder deactivation, some sort of like 10-speed transmission to it, or like a CVT transmission that's more efficient, with active start-stop technology that shuts your car off every stoplight, which kills your battery, kills your alternator, kills your starter. All this stuff. It's nonsense. If manufacturers cannot achieve the goal that is set to them, speak out. Voice it out, whether there's going to be repercussions or not, because by you just making a crappy product, passing that to the consumers, is killing the automotive world, and you're going to lose your customers. And it's happening everywhere, guys. It's not just, the big 3. It's overseas, too. As far as cars coming into the U.S. I don't know about other countries. I know I'm originally from Europe, and back there, they're still using 4-cylinder diesels. When I went to Europe, the last trip, they're just using regular diesel cars. There's no filters in the exhaust or any of that, as far as I know, at least in the country that I was in, my country. But overall, they're just running these cars like they don't care. So my thing is this: even if America cuts pollutants and achieves higher miles per gallon and saves on, fuel and emissions and all this stuff, what about all those other countries that are, polluting 10 times as more than your car would pollute? Are we really doing anything there? But again, that's a little bit controversial and political. Just thought I'd throw my 2 cents in there. Here, my 2023 Ford that I bought has a 10-speed transmission with twin turbos to try to be efficient and all the start-stop technology and stuff. Thank God it doesn't have cylinder deactivation. That's the main reason why I even went with Ford. Otherwise, it would have been a GM, but since they got AFM, DFM, that kind of pushed me away from GM as a customer, and I was a long-time GM customer. I still am a GM fanboy, guys. I love my Chevys, my GMCs, all of them. But I was forced to a Ford simply because they don't offer cylinder deactivation, which I didn't want on any of my vehicles. So instead, I still got a vehicle that has a 10-speed, auto start stop, and twin turbos for efficiency. And I don't want none of that. I just want a regular V8 or a V6, depending on the class of car, with, you know, maybe a 5-speed transmission. Maybe 7-speed is okay as well. They're not that bad. And no turbos or anything, just a regular naturally aspirated engine. Why can't I get that as a reliable car? That's what I want. So that is pretty much the gist of it. I actually had to cut the video there because it was a lot longer and I went on a tangent. But it's simple. I'll boil it down. Governments set mandates and regulations. If car manufacturers cannot achieve these things because they're unachievable, don't push it on your consumers with crappy technology, and it makes your vehicles not even last 100,000 miles before thousands of dollars or major repairs happen to them. Why don't you just simply say, we can't achieve this, it's unachievable, we don't know what to do, air it out, and maybe get stuff done the right way. It's really sad, guys. The most reliable vehicle you could buy today is probably a 2005 Chevy Suburban V8. You know, think about it. 10-year-old vehicle will be more reliable. That truck right there, because I used to own one, that's how I know this, will outlast any new car nowadays. Even an old GM 3800 series engine will outlive most V6 engines out there today. Like, it's just ridiculous that these middle of the 2000s engines were amazing and they ran good, they're reliable, they get hundreds of thousands of miles, but yet the new engines don't do anything. So manufacturers, if you're watching this, if you can't meet the goal that's set for you guys, speak up. Don't screw over your consumers. I know CAFE, government mandates have a lot of things to do with how cars are produced, but even though I will say that that is a fault to a point, the real bigger fault is the manufacturers just trying to implement them at every cost, at no matter what the cost. And usually the cost is the consumer. So at the end of the day, that's what it is. So that's my stance on this. So for anyone that said, hey, CAFE standards and government mandates weren't mentioned in the previous video, well, this is why. Because to me, it still boils down to the manufacturer. Anyone can set a limit, but if you can't do that limit, maybe speak up, get it adjusted, get it fixed, get it situated. And I'll leave you guys with that. So like always, comment, like, and subscribe because it definitely helps the channel grow. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next video.